Getting tired of this Highline Hotspur, fam. We can't be a team. We're looking more like a construction site, the way we're getting piped, fam. Villa lost. This team could have made steps to get into the top 4, but instead they hold 4. It was a George Foreman special. We got fists up. We've had more losses in a row than little Dirk, and every 5 minutes he's putting one of his brethren on a chain. I'm seething. It's not even competition. It's like the Euro Millions. It's just a rollover. 13 goals conceded in 4 games. The amount of balls Vicario's seeing, that man are calling him V Diddy in the changing rooms. It's peak. It's been...
Nice.
In tactics. We just walk into beatdowns like Joe Joyce, fam. The only difference is we got a chin like Amir Khan. It's usually over in 10 minutes. We literally create our own problems. It's like when Dr. Gyro built the androids and then they killed him straight away. It's a joke thing. Playing Emerson at left back is criminal. I would rather take Katie Hopkins to a 3-course meal at the Shard, fam. I'm serious. We had 10...
I'd love to see that. Do you know how premium content that would be? Expressions and Katie Hopkins go out for dinner.
Men, we got Cisco at left back when he can't even play good in his natural position. That's like asking a nun to create an OnlyFans, blood. What's man talking about? I know Aaliyah said dust yourself off and try again, fam. But when you do something and it's hurting, that's called self-harming, bruv.
That's a great song. Great song by Leah. But listen, look, I get Expressions' frustration, and 4 defeats on the bounce, their worst run of Premier League form in nearly 20 years. 19 years, I think it was. And at the moment when you watch Spurs, it isn't disrespectful to say I can't see where the next win comes from. Yes, they've got Sheffield United that are relegated and playing for nothing, but they've got Burnley who are fighting for their lives as an example. They've got some tough games ahead. Chelsea and Newcastle are in form. If they end up finishing below 5th, it goes from being an excellent start and a good overall season, first year under Big Ange, to being a disaster. It's a huge, huge disaster. Viewers, give me your thoughts and give me your feelings in the comments section below.
Oh.
Today, we are sponsored again by our friends at Match Bingo. This bingo card you can see on the screen right now is my personal card for the Crystal Palace Manchester United game later on today. There is not just a big prize pool. There's a bonus pot to be won today as well. It's very easy to play. You literally just buy the bingo card and then you game. You watch the game and you wait for certain events to happen. If you're the first to get 1 full line, you win money. Second, if the first person to get 2 lines, you win money. If you're the first person to get a full house, you win some money. It's one of the most amazing games to play during Premier League football matches. So go and check it out now.
Maybe not Sheffield United, but I think it's just not a winnable game. Red Army says never stop calling out cheating, sports washing at Oil State. The facts are all out there and their owners are getting scared what's coming, says Red Army. I'll be talking on my podcast about the cease and desist letter, and I'll have the letter for you on the podcast on Tuesday. So for any...
I have been tagged in this for the past 24 hours. Terry, you lied. You said Mark didn't get a letter. He's just said he did. Let's take a back step for a moment here. First question. Who believes YouTubers are getting cease and desist letters from Manchester City Football Club? Who actually believes that for a moment? A lot of people seem to. And they're preying on the downfall of Mark. But you've got to be very careful here. City fans, I would get why they would celebrate it if this is true. They don't want this conversation to be had. But the amount of opinions football fans have that are based upon media stories or what journalists say or what a pundit says, you're opening up a really scary can of worms for everyone, including someone without a YouTube channel who's just tweeting based on knowledge they think they have because of an article. My personal opinion is Mark is trolling. My personal opinion is Mark is just saying, do you know what? If people are going to sit online and lie about me, I'm going to banter you back. I don't know what kind of letter he's going to have on Tuesday on his podcast, but I'm sure I am 99.9% sure is not a cease and desist letter. And when you actually think about it, if we're going to deep it for a minute and go away from having fun, defamation typically, and I'm just saying typically, involves making false statements that harm somebody or somebody's reputation. If you publicly state, though, that you believe a story from a newspaper and the story is true and accurately reported with confirmed sources and information that can be verified, and by the way, the Times would be the first to get a cease and desist letter. The Premier League wouldn't have made the charges if these articles and these leaks were fabricated and somebody made them on Photoshop, okay? It genuinely doesn't constitute as defamation if a YouTuber believes that story. However, if the story involves false information and you repeat to endorse it, but when you know it's untrue, that's different. But the point is, we're all football fans. I've always said City have got to have their day in court. And if they're found innocent, then they are innocent in my eyes. But what I find really interesting is, in my opinion, the lies being spread by a small group, by the way, of City fans online, that Mark Goldbridge and other journalists have had cease and desist letters. As far as I'm aware, they haven't. There was also the same group put out a rumor that the case had been dropped against City, which also isn't true. And if it turns out, and we'll find out tomorrow from Mark, that this is all a lie and he had no cease and desist letter, the irony is the big City accounts that have spread this lie, they're the ones. They're the ones who'll be liable for defamation.
I'll give you the final say. I've asked people who's been the surprise of the season, but
I don't know about hiding.
we can talk about even the set piece coach. Like Nicolas Jova. There's people like Mikel Arteta might be a surprise to you. What's been your biggest surprise, whether person or thing this season? Because, you know, some people would say Arsenal weren't going to be competing again. They should have won it last year. If they didn't, they're not going to have a chance to do it. Some people might be surprised how good Arsenal have been this season. We're the only ones challenging for that title with City. Liverpool are now dropped out of it. But what has been your biggest surprise this season?
Well, you could say Leo, but I suppose Leo's proven credential. My surprise of season, it's got to be David Raya, because I think he's been absolutely incredible. And obviously, Mikel brought him in. I don't even think Mikel would have thought he's been this good, because now he's won the Golden Glove. We've kept 17 clean sheets this season. It's been amazing. So I think it's got to be David. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. That's one that no one's mentioned, and it's a good point.
No.
Got a surprise of the season?
Well, my surprise was, and when I spoke to this bloke earlier on,
Here we go.
he told me City are going to lose 2 games. So
There's still 4 games left?
but City aren't losing no games. My surprise of the season, there's been a few. My surprise in the way Havertz has sort of kicked on up front.
What would you guys say is, it doesn't need to be Arsenal related. I saw this video and I was quite intrigued. Surprise of the season. What has shocked you the most? I think David Raya is a great argument. You remember the discourse around him at the beginning of the season. My favorite was the surprise how Arsenal fans at the beginning of the campaign thought that Gabriel was going to be dropped and Partey was going to play at right back all season. My surprise is that anybody even thought that was a real thing. When it comes to my own club, Man United, biggest surprise that we haven't changed our system. That hasn't been working for the majority of the campaign. That's my biggest surprise, but that's just me. Let me know your thoughts and your feelings below, people.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
3-0 today against Bournemouth. There was some dodgy decisions, and Bournemouth manager Adoni Iraola was not best pleased with some of them.
If we keep the VAR, I think we have to give power to the VAR. What I don't get is probably the ones in the VAR thought it was not a penalty and thought it wasn't a foul. But when they introduce the clear and obvious and this, then we spend the 5-6 minutes checking everything, and probably they are thinking it's a very soft foul, you know. But they say no, we cannot overturn it because it's not clear. Then we don't spend 5-6 minutes with the VAR if you are not going to take any decision. I think this we have to rethink it a little bit.
Yeah, obviously looking at the decisions, if you haven't seen the game, we saw the game, Gabs, and the Havertz, obviously the dive.
Of course.
He buys the foul.
Yeah.
He sucks the referee and he gives a penalty. They go to VAR and he leaves his foot in, and there is contact because he's left his foot there. But he's absolutely dived. So VAR can overrule that really and say that is clear and obvious. He has dived. Yes, there's a little bit of contact, but we know exactly what he's doing.
Of course, but the problem now is that Havertz knows he's going to get a pen.
Yeah.
So I blame the rules and what they're at now. If he knows he's going to get booked for diving, he doesn't do.
Do you know what it is with this conversation? I'm very happy to concede that there was simulation. I'm not going to defend Kai Havertz, but I've been talking about this for about 6 years on socials, and I don't think it picks up traction because people use it as a comfort blanket. But where is this energy when a Villa player dives? Where is this energy when a Spurs player dives? From these two in particular. And that message goes out to everybody. When our players do, and when I mean our players from our teams, do what Kai Havertz did, we go, well, he has no obligation to get out of the way. Yeah, he went down easy. He's trying to avoid injury, but it's still a foul. There was still contact. Everybody defends it. When a rival does it, we all call foul. And I've said this for years, and I'll say it again. Unless you're self-policing your own players for diving, keep your Rudy Poo mouth closed. Just keep it quiet. You don't need to put that opinion out there. It's terrible. And of course, these two are two of the biggest Arsenal haters. Their fear of Arsenal, how scared they are of Arsenal getting back. I mean, they're already back near the top with challenging, but their fear is there. Of course, they're going to jump on this and try and discredit Kai Havertz and discredit the win and everything else, but they wouldn't do it if it was their team. So for me, this kind of discourse, in my humble opinion, it's just got to stop now.
Get behind. The last 4 years have been a real drain at Spurs. Honestly, at times you've watched them and thought, you know what you're going to get. But it isn't Spurs. I say this, Spurs have got a style, a character, a personality as a football club, and arrogance in the way in which they play. And he brings all those things, that confidence in the game, and they should invest in that. Because the Spurs fans are really happy. I know they finished fourth at times, they finished second at times in the last 6, 7, 8 years. But they should be really happy with how they finished fifth. Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes for a football fan, it's how you finish fifth, how you lose. They're the really important factors because you're going to have good times with it as well, and you want those highs, and he's brought highs this season, Ange Postecoglou.
I agree with Gary Neville in his take here. They're not perfect yet, Spurs, but they should be investing in Ange Postecoglou. He has got to make some very small, nuanced adjustments to his system. All managers do, and I'm sure he'll do that. I'm pretty convinced that he will. But they do need to back him. The only element of what I'm calling out when it comes to Gary Neville, and maybe it's because he's learned from this mistake, but when this was Arsenal, for instance, 2-3 seasons ago, and they were about to miss out on top 4 when they looked like they were going to get it, that was it. That was a ceiling. They would never come again. And that campaign, Arsenal played lots of really exciting football. We really saw the birth of what's now being displayed by them. So it's interesting to see different energy, but it doesn't mean he isn't right. And I've seen some Spurs fans turn on Ange Postecoglou, and I do think that's far too premature. I think it's far too premature. Maybe you believe too much in some of the players that you've got. But from my perspective, 110% they've got to invest in this guy. I think Gary Neville is completely and utterly spot on in what it is that he has said there. But listen, people, please hit the like buttons. Please make sure you're subscribing. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you again soon. Peace.